Right. You're now being recorded. um, we'll start
Thank
from
you.
right. We'll start from on the practical side now, from classroom. What we normally do with lessons, sorry, with the 053 training, as much as with the aerodrome course, we normally have some classroom exercises as well, so that when the students get um, into the simulator, they would have already mastered the basics, especially in terms of phraseology and exactly what is expected uh, of them. Now, the last time we did talk um, uh, let's see, the whiteboard, which I didn't manage to bring out. So this is one of the other uh, things that we can use in terms of uh, briefing the students. So on Zoom on here, we've got a whiteboard that pretty much does everything else that we can do on a face-to-face course. But additionally, you can save it, you can send it to everyone also present. So they can also use whatever is on the whiteboard as part of their notes as well. And can you all see the whiteboard in front of you now?
Yeah, we do.
Are you all able to see the whiteboard? Sometimes I'm not able to know whether everyone can view or not from this side.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
we can.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
whiteboard.
can see.
Yeah, so you can do a lot of things with the whiteboard. You can move, you can put text. You can actually quickly draw. Let's say we wanted to draw an aerodrome. We can put different aircraft if we wanted to. Yeah, we could also pretty much, if we wanted to put like a prohibited area, we could do that. And we can change the font on there. Yeah. You can ask questions. And this is interactive because what I can do, which I'm not going to try and do now, because sometimes it can be very tricky when you are sharing and then unsharing. So you need to have a proper brief on the other side. Otherwise, you easily lose control. But I can release control from this side to, say, a student, if I wanted them to put an answer on there, or just probably, put an answer or move around things. So I could easily do that, share with them as well. Okay, there's a prohibited area if you wanted to draw a prohibited area. And again, if I wanted to ask a question, I'll just put the question mark. And you got the spotlight here as well, which will highlight, and you can erase easily. And you can undo as well. And you can redo as well. And with one stroke as well, if you're done, you can clear all drawings by drawings, viewers drawings, which is on the other side. So if I give one student a task to do on the whiteboard, right? And then I want to pass on to the next student, then I can clear the previous viewers drawings as well. Okay. And we can also save on there as well as a PNG or PDF. Or so we can just clear everything on there. Okay, so that's the Zoom whiteboard, which I like to use, but again, I'm going to unshare for now. Is there any questions on this Zoom whiteboard? Because I'm going to clear this off onto another product that we're using as well.
I think it's clear.
It's clear.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so I'll have to stop share, then share something else again. Okay. You have to be patient with me because I've got like several screens open. Okay. Right, this one here is a third party that I'm going to share with you in a minute. Now I'm gonna have to come back to this one here because I've got too many screens open and I've got a secondary window, a screen 2 here. So everything is like all over the place now. I'll go straight into the into screen 2 where we are now sharing the RST. Now, this are you all able to view the RST? 2 windows on there open.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, great. Right. With the RST, when you load it, there is several options. The options that we're going to use is having a controller working position, sorry, a pilot working position on one computer, okay, and in another controller working position on another independent computer. So you're gonna have 2 computers and they are able to communicate. So the pilot and the controller will be able to communicate. And what we are now building is the controller to controller working position direct communication other than the radio. So on here, the comms here is for radio. Now, obviously for approach procedure, this here will still be available to the instructor if they need it on their side, but the student will not be able to view the controller working position. However, we can also set in the system in the sim room another sim position, but this will be just for the students for consolidation. So they could probably, it really depends with you whether you agree or not. After a lesson, after an exercise, they could run it on, this will have the option for the student to be both the pilot and the controller. So obviously, unless he's going to talk to himself, this will be minus the comms. But I mean, if he wants to talk to himself and act as pilot and controller, that's fine. But whatever is supposed, the instructions he's giving to the pilot, is able to input them directly onto the screen in front of him. Okay, so maybe they had a situation which they didn't quite understand because they couldn't visualize. Then they can go back on there and then try and visualize it from a surveillance point of view. Not that they should use it for anything other than just a tool to enhance their experience in terms of situational awareness. But when you're running proper exercises, normally this can be available for the instructor. Some instructors like to use it. I don't like using it for personal reasons because then I lose control of, I lose the picture of the procedural view. Then I'll tend to not see some minor detail or some detail in terms of what the student is doing. But some instructors like to have a look at that. But anyway, what we are mostly interested in now is what this system can do. Now, I'll say to you, this system is not yet 100%, but we are at a stage where I can safely say we can demonstrate that we have done enough work and we believe that this system can work for procedure and also certain areas of surveillance as well. And why I think it's worth having a look at this system is it's much easier in terms of actually flying the aircraft, especially. And also, it's a system that our license with Eurocontrol allows us to again change a lot of things to suit what the client needs, which is exactly what we've started doing on here. Now, the map that we're going to use is just a demo map. It's not yet complete. We will also discuss with you, if you decide you're going ahead, exactly what type of an airspace you would like. So we will have a generic airspace. If you want us to make some additions or subtractions to that procedural airspace, we are able to do that from this side. And once everything has been developed, we can then just deploy it in sessions. We might have to communicate with your IT guys, but it will be just a small piece of software onto your computers, that side, and that can be done well before, so that we do the testing and everything well before the instructor does come down from there. Okay, and it's a very stable system. I haven't had any issues at all, and we've also used it previously for our basic courses, just for the students to have some practical experience on surveillance, that is, at that time. Now, with this system here, the start and stop and pause is on the controller side. So this is why we're saying the instructor will definitely have to have this window open, because they're the ones who will control when to stop an exercise, when to pause an exercise. Normally, in most systems, in other systems, it's the pilot that normally pauses, okay, or stops the exercise. Now, this one here works the opposite, which is much easier, because what happens is, just a minute, please. Someone is trying to join here. Okay, I think Patricia is trying to join us. So what happens with the other systems is what happens with the other system is the pilot anyway has got to shout across. Sorry, the instructor has got to shout across to the pilot. So in this case here, you will just stop, pause as required. Now, on this side here, this is just for the benefit of our SSR. What information can we get on here? You can see this is very much of a plain map with the runways and the approaches on there. Okay, but again, we can select to have these fixes either with text on or just as they are. So this really helps in terms of once we start populating the maps with aircraft. If we've got too many text, then sometimes it overlaps with the targets. Okay, so again, it will be really someone's preference. Let's say the controller and they were doing, let's say, radar, or the instructor is using this to just have a look at an approach exercise. So on here, these are the things that you can select. You can select to have this on or off. The fixes, the labels. So as you can see now, we have selected to have all the fixes on there. It's nice if you just want to take maybe a quick shot of the map, and then I think once you start working traffic, it's better not to have them on there. Okay, you can even change the font and the likes, which for now is not going to benefit us. What we want to do now is maybe just undo that. And once you get used to the map anyway, you pretty much know which direction your aircraft is going. If you want to cross-reference, you just hover your mouse. It will tell you what point is you are hovering your mouse on. And again, here, if they were doing SSR, or even the instructor, if you want to just keep in track in terms of the distances from, let's say, forest for the aircraft, then they can also come on here. You can either permanently have the range rings on. I'll show you shortly why it's an advantage, especially on the pilot side, that you have these two. So again, you've got those range rings as well. And if we want to deselect them, then we just go on to none. You can do a lot of things. It can also give you spherical, okay? It can also give you the projections. And again, you can decide you don't want any of that. Then you go on to none. The layers, again, you can select what you want to see and what you don't want to see. Okay, you can select whether you want to see the air lanes, which is the airways, and their center lines as well. And you can also select whether you want to see all those, what you want to see on your map. So you can have as little or as many as possible. If you're not using the runways, you can deselect all those things, the runways, fixed labels, and all that information. Okay. I wouldn't obviously suggest that anyone switches off the clock then, because then you are working blind in terms of time, which is not something that a controller would want to do. Okay, and again, like I said, the stop and start is there, and there's the comms system. Okay. So that's the controller working position. Okay, and this side will be able to present both primary and secondary targets as well. And as a minimum, you'll be able to have the levels. You also have it's got mode S, so you should be able to tell the heading as well of an aircraft. So instead of asking an aircraft and heading, Paul is just coming. Let me just admit him. Okay. Is there any questions in terms of the controller side, which will mostly be used just as an additional tool for the instructor at this point?
Yeah, Oliver, thank you. So the way I understand it, there'll be a screen for the controller as a situational awareness tool, one for the instructor and one for the pilot, right?
That's correct. And the student will not have access to the one on the student side. It'll be just for the instructor.
Okay, so the student will not be seeing a screen. That's
No.
that makes sense with procedural control.
Yes.
So
it's only if you think it will help them, because some, even after you have explained to them they don't have the situational awareness, then we can set another independent computer where they can play the same exercise, but with the screen on, so that they appreciate the position of aircraft and why certain things happened.
Yeah.
But again, that's a choice. But I think it really helps if you are going to use it as an extra tool after they have done the exercise, not before.
Well, makes sense. Yeah. Maybe I should ask Alex if there's any special requirements they want to address with that kind of setup. Alex?
I think Alex was having problems with his mic. It looks like it's still the case.
Anyway, afterwards we can discuss further with him on our side.
Yes, I'm very much happy to get him and Joseph any other time as well. If
Of course.
they want this demo, and yeah, then we can go point by point and stuff like that. Obviously, their requirements and your requirements will probably be different because they are looking at more from the regulatory point of view.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But in terms of moving forward from this, maybe we should start getting everything that you will need to set up this here on our side.
Yes.
In terms of hardware,
Uh-huh.
what else? Procedure-wise, what kind of strips do you want us to use so that we can make all the preparations and everything?
Yeah, and if you're okay, I can give you now the demo on the pilot side. That's for the benefit for Audrina. Then we'll move on to Louis' requirements, which again, you already have pretty much most of what is needed. The computers that we used for the basic course in terms of the RST is adequate. So there's no real additional. I mean, if you need bigger screens, then that's something else that can be considered. But again, for this, maybe not.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So from your side, to be honest, there will be not much to do. Unfortunately, travel is not easy. This is something that someone could just fly down over a weekend, get everything set up, started. But unfortunately, then they have got to come back here and quarantine. So we're going to try as much as possible to do 99.5% of the work over this side. Okay, so now for the pilot side, again, you can minimize this window. Again, you've got also the same tools, whether you want to see the range rings, I'll show you where they might be necessary. And also the fixed labels, when they want them visible or not. Maybe initially you might want, but if you've got the map, then most likely you do not need it. Okay. And the good thing is you can just take a screenshot these days, you know, and then you print it out. And again, you've got the same layers just as the student side as well. You can select what you want. But I think as a pilot, what you want is as little information as possible on your map. Now you've got here, this window here will give you the flight plans of all the aircraft that are active. But obviously you're going to also have a crib sheet. And when your aircraft are live, they'll appear on here, on here as well. Okay, so this is where you can manipulate the aircraft. These two windows here are for manipulating and flying the aircraft. This one here is just for flight plan information. As you can see, we've already designed some hordes, and I'm happy to announce that they work. With putting putting something like this on a map is one thing, but making the aircraft follow that path is something else. And we have already defined the runways as well. And again, we can then decide how you want us to do this this course, because we can by default we've put all the aircraft on seeds and stars, except for departures. No, not the seeds. That's one thing that I'll have to discuss later on with the training side as well. But again, they are on stars, but at any time we can take them off from the star. Okay, because with procedural, pretty much we would like them to overhead the holding position as quickly as possible, rather than following the stars. Okay, if it was SSR, yes, there's that option that they are all coming on stars until you are ready to vector them. So by default, we've put stars, but we can also quickly change the route back to routing direct to the Forest, Foxtrot, Oscar, Romeo, I think it is. And also there's a holding pattern on there for both runways. Now, like I said earlier on, the stop and start is on the controller side. So I'll have to bring this up for a minute and then just start the exercise. Now, I hope you don't pay too much attention to my controlling. Right, we've got here an Air France, which is just airborne. So let's there is Air France again. It appears there, it appears on there as well with all the information. But I think most of the interest for the pilot is on there. What do we want the aircraft to do? We want the aircraft to go direct to where? Again, we want to go direct to crest. Okay, but again, we could say, no, we want this aircraft here on a radial. So the radial at this distance must be equivalent to the heading anyway. So let's just say you can either continue on present heading, normal navigation, or we can tell the aircraft to turn. And where do you want it to turn? Let's say we want it to turn to the left by 20 degrees, then we just execute and the aircraft will turn. Oh, I think I did that too early. So let me just get back to Air France again. I should have waited until he's started his turn towards his flight plan route. So instead, what we'll do is we'll change that and just say, go direct to your point there, which is crest. So we can also, now we want to climb this aircraft here. Okay, we can climb the aircraft to the, all you need to do is go onto the level, go onto the selected level. So let's say for now, flight level 140. And then we can then also give a rate of climb, a rate of descent, which we don't normally do in procedural unless they are now on more the advanced phases. Then we can execute. So you can see your aircraft now, it started the climb. So the climb sign is up. Like I said, it's got mod S, and it's also telling you the level it's climbing to. It's also telling you the flight plan on there as well, and the score code, and it's also telling you the aircraft type on there as well. And that's his requested level. Requested level is 360. The controller changes his mind or her mind, says now I want this aircraft here on a radio, and then we will just say 10 left, let's say by 20 degrees, then you execute. And you can see it's already changing onto intercept a different heading. So this is where the pilot might need a bit of flying so that the aircraft actually, because not all the time will the heading also be the same as the radial, but that will just need one or two more additional strikes. So there's our Air France now on that radial. Now we've got Gulf Air here coming in as number one. So he's number one, no delay. Okay, so we can route him direct so that he comes in number one, no delay. We can route him direct to a position where he can then intercept the ILS. And again, we can also give him descent as well. So he's number one. Let's give him descent initially to 4,000 feet, just in case we have some departures messing around with them. Then we execute. So again, if you look at that, your Gulf Air should start his descent now. Okay, you can tell the aircraft is descending, and you can go to all the information here in terms of the aircraft, and is now navigating directly to Nikki. Okay, so let's say approach says now we've got an issue at just beyond crest. Now we want this Air France 442 to hold. Okay, so we take him to crest first. They want him to hold there for about 10 minutes before he can proceed any further. So we go on to aircraft, then hold again, Air France, hold, and then we say crest. You ask us for how many minutes he wants to hold. So approach say 10 minutes. So we'll put 10 minutes on there. So our aircraft automatically will hold. If you wanted to stop his climb, we can stop the climb, but there's no need at this present time. So you can see already now the path is already drawn for the aircraft that the aircraft will be holding on there. So again, you can see how easy it is to scroll in and out just in case there are some other arrivals coming in. Now, I don't think anything will happen before Gulf Air comes in. So we'll descend the Gulf Air to another level, 3,000 feet, so that they can commence the approach. But at any time, we can also go back to Gulf Air and then just say, if we wanted them now to clear for the straight in ILS, it's coming for straight in ILS, then we can go on to intercept, then ILS, we execute. Then that's it. The aircraft is going to intercept, as you can see on the via Nikki, intercept the localizer. Now we've got an aircraft that is just departed here. Okay, Emirates 152. Okay, we want the aircraft to go on to a radial. Let's say let's just leave him doing whatever he's doing for now, and before we can start messing around with it. But that's an aircraft that's airborne. Now this is again something that we're going to discuss. I'll show you with another aircraft that's coming in later what we can do for procedural, because procedural we expecting the aircraft, okay, we're expecting the controller to give in a clearance, so we can hold these aircraft so that they don't automatically depart. For SSR, it's okay. So you can see, let's say by mistake, this aircraft has been given, is airborne now, and is going towards the Gulf Air, but the pilot just didn't remember to hold release on the. So if it's the first few exercises, we can do a lot. We can ask this aircraft to turn, but again, for it to be fair on the student, we can then kill this aircraft. So that's how you would kill an aircraft without actually killing it. So that's it, it's gone. So it's a no factor now. Now we've got another arrival coming in. That's the KLM 623. So we want him to redirect. He's obviously on a star, but we just want him to go direct. So you can either put him any of these places here. If he's coming for, we'll place him for a straight in ILS, you can clear them to all those areas. But he's number 2, so we'll clear him to forest. We will then execute. And because KLM is number 2, we would want him to hold. And then you would normally be given hold at forest, and then just put any type of minutes here while you calculate, because you'll give you an the controller will give you an expected approach time. So that aircraft, what we know definitely is going to, you can always go back and change how many minutes you want the aircraft to hold. But for now, we are now certain that the aircraft is going to focus on Oscar. They will going to hold. Then at any time, you can now go back to the aircraft before you forget. And then you can, let's say, descending to 90, because that one is out of 84. 6, 7. Okay, and then you execute again. You can put the rate of descent as well as you wish. Okay, you can see it's also starting to descend. Now, yeah, we've got this aircraft here airborne, okay, and we want to see, if we look at the routing, there is now going towards the KLM. So we might want to, that will be American, okay. Okay, we want the aircraft maybe to go direct, and you can go direct to Kings, which is here. Right, execute, but we also want the aircraft to climb. And we can climb him maybe initially to 7,000 feet. And then we execute. So what we will most likely, the controller now knows it. Once this happens, sorry, the pilot knows. Sorry, I'm always biased on the controller. I always say it's controller when I mean pilot. The controller now can almost tell they're gonna need a DME. So there is 2 ways you can get DMEs. Okay, put the position on the aircraft to Foxtrot Oscar Romeo. Okay, it will show you the DME on there. Okay, and also the radial and everything else. If you wanted to know the radial, again, it will give you also on there. But again, the easy way would then probably be to, oh, sorry, I forgot to clear the Gulf here. Oh, I did tell him to Yeah, let's just descend him to 500 feet. Oh, he's gone. Okay, he's okay. Our graph has disappeared now because he's done the ILS and it's gone. Okay, so the other quickest way now, this is if we minimize this. I'm using two screens. It's a lot quicker when you're using just one screen. So we can go onto the tools again, quickly put onto grid, then we put range rings, and you've got range rings on there, and then you can expand your, okay. So now you've got your range rings here. They are in series of, this is 50, this is 2.5 miles, but we can put them in rings in terms of like 10 miles, 10 miles. So when you look in here, you can tell exactly how far this aircraft is from forest, okay, without having to do any, without having to use this other option here. But again, this option here is available, and you to deselect, you just click the mouse twice. Now we've got these two aircraft here. Okay, now you can see they also got the predict vector here. So the predict vector, sometimes it's a nuisance. If you have too many aircraft, you can also deselect the predict vector as well. Okay, this here, you can move it to any part of here. Okay, so we don't want the predict vector. And the comms also, you can move them to anywhere, any part of the screen, which is more convenient to you. Okay. Now, as you can see, airframes, we say the airframes must hold, and that's exactly what it's doing at level 140 again. Okay. Now we've got another inbound coming in, Scandinavia. Again, we want Scandinavia to go direct to Foxtrot Oscar Romeo. We execute, and then we also want. Don't forget also we want the Scandinavia 335 to hold at Foxtrot Oscar Romeo. To ask for how long? We'll just put 35 minutes for now, because obviously I'm not in a position to calculate the actual minutes that you will hold. But again, as you can see, ETAs, they also appear on here. So we've got where they are now routing, their ETAs as well will appear on there as well. Now, I think Air France is getting a bit dizzy. So let's try and take him off and set him on track now. Okay, so you can now go direct to crest 2. Okay, execute. So you will leave that hold and then proceed to crest 2 just here. Okay. Now we've got also ice just coming in. Ice. Now ice, we might have to descend first. Okay, to maybe 120, execute, but we also want ice to route direct to Foxtrot Oscar Romeo, execute, and we also want ice to hold. And I wish there was a way of putting all these and we'll just put so many minutes. There's a way to do all that in one go, but again, you can see how quickly you can do all those functions. So that's where we are for now. Is there, do you want us to continue to see the aircraft actually go into the hold at Foxtrot Oscar, or is this okay for you?
I'll leave Arjuna to answer that question. On our side, we feel that it's okay. It's very easy to use. So I'll leave it to Arjuna. Arjuna.
I think it's okay. It seems to be quite straightforward to manipulate. Like you mentioned, yeah. So on our side, it's okay. We don't actually need to see it entering the hold.
Yeah, it does. And when it enters the hold, again, it will enter the pattern again with the entry procedure. There's no shortcut to it as well. Okay. At any time,
that's very good.
Yeah. At any time, you can also release it from the hold and then either point it to Nikki or Rugby to do the ILS.
One more question from my side, Oliver.
Yes.
With regards to communication, so it's the same pieces you are using. You can use headset and communicate.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The software is written into the main system. That's one advantage of this system. To be honest, it works much better than things that were being sold by some of these experts. And the problem why we decided to come up with this and start developing ourselves, what is already on there, is it was taking so much time, you know, with all these suppliers to come up with something like this, you know, something that we can even demonstrate to our clients. Because I suppose what I noticed when we got our installation is they've got some people, yes, they've got engineers, yes, but I don't think they've got people who've got an air traffic control mind. And so this is why you find some of the things are very complex to work with, because they've been done from an engineering point of view. But this one here, what we're trying to do is make sure that whatever the pilot does is easy. They don't concentrate on flying the aircraft. They concentrate on actually helping the student by asking questions as well from this side. Do you want us to do this? Do you want us to do that? Kind of thing. So they can actually also be in sync with the exercise rather than just flying the aircraft.
That sounds good. I like the concept.
So yeah, that's the whole package in terms of how we will be able to brief the students. We're gonna also use videos. Some of the briefs will be on videos. Plus, also, like I said, the third part Jamboard, again, that can be shared. And we can use it even as a case study. At the end of the day, we say, okay, there is your case study, there's your case study. Then they come, they do the presentation before we do the exercise. So we're going to try and make sure that at every stage to cut down the training time. At every time they are training. If they are on a break because they are not on there, we'll give them something to do. And with all these assets here and resources, that's very possible, because what you don't want, sometimes you're having a course and then the student doesn't have a lesson until 3 hours later. So they go away, and when they come back, they're not even, you know, prepared, because the mind is already on something else. So we would want them to keep engaged. We have videos, we will give them case studies, we will also give them additional positions, which is the good thing, because we don't have to pay for the extra positions. Unlike with all these other simulator suppliers, each position you're going to pay a certain amount. So this is why then you always have minimum, you know, and it's not always what the student will benefit from. I think I'm done on my side. If you've got any questions or any comments.
From my side, I'm okay with it. I don't know about the others. Any questions, guys? No question from my office. Audrina.
Did you mention that you were able to, you can pause and also replay?
Yes, pause. No, we can't. I think you can replay. I don't want to promise you something.
No, but there is that option.
I'm sure you can replay. But I'll need to talk to the guy who is developing this to make sure that we test it and it's working. But pause, yes, okay. We will pause. When we pause, it's paused. That's how I'm saying it's best. It's even better because it's paused from the student side. So the instructor, instead of shouting across pause, they will pause the clock on here.
You want to do like a discussion?
Yeah.
Resuming,
yeah. Then they just tell you I'm paused or something like that. Or anyway, on here you also see that they're paused anyway, everything freezes. So as you can see, on the student side as well, they also have the flight plans as well. If we were doing SSR, or even for the instructor, you can see where all the aircraft are, and also all these active flight plans and the flight plan routes and everything else is on there.
Okay, Oliver, I wanted to ask a question now with regards to hardware. With regards to the headset, what do you think it's better? You guys come down with the headset, or do you want us to...
let's just do it. Yeah, we'll get them much cheaper over this side, because we're not we're not looking for fancy headsets, because we're just looking at USB, and then we can also test, because we're going to have foot switches as well. So we want to test all those things before, But we'll get an option that is reasonable considering our present financial situations.
Okay, thank you. So I'll leave that to you.
Yes, you can definitely leave that out to us.
All right, thanks. Any more questions, guys? Looks like it's okay on our side, Oliver. We haven't seen anything from Alex yet, but we'll share the recording with him and Joseph. And if they need to ask you any further questions or clarify anything, we can definitely organize a session with them directly.
Yeah, and what we can do is, while we are still in the development mode, we can also arrange for a demo, but this will be from from a radar point of view, a radar training point of view.
Yeah, so, I think it's better if you're giving a demo to use.
Yeah, but this will be strictly for the radar aspect as well, so that we don't keep, when we develop, if there are certain things that we have to take into consideration, we do them at development level, rather than trying to, because it's always easier that way, rather than trying to add or subtract things when you've already developed the system.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. And from, like I said, from our team, it all looks good, and I think it will meet our requirements, but we just have to get the endorsement from the regulatory.
Absolutely. Okay, that's great. And I'll have this up in the next 20-30 minutes. It should be, the recording should be available.
Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, enjoy the rest of our day.
Okay, you too, Louis.
Thank you.
Cheers, Adrina.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, Patrice. Esme.
Bye. Patrice can barely walk or speak. He's in a wheelchair in my office here.
What has he done to himself again?
That's the question. Yeah, that's the right question.
Oh, what has he not done to himself?
Okay, honey. Take care.
Okay, cheers, yeah. Bye.
Take care.
Cheers.